Hello everyone, we'll be talking about a really cool companion Werebear build that I've been theory crafting, and the reason why I love this build is it has so much customization. My god, the more I get into this build, the more things I come up with, so I'm really excited to share this with you because I think this is, even if it doesn't turn out to be some crazy top tier build or something, it'll still be fun and worth doing. So, to start off, what are the legendaries you need to make this build work? You're going to need aspect of the alpha. Your wolf companions are werewolf companions. They can spread rabies, which is poison, and they're going to do 200% increased damage. Keep in mind this calculator is not factoring in the two-handed bonus or the amulet bonus. So this is going to be 200 up to 200%. This will be up to 40%, or sorry, up to like 30% damage. Okay, or 35%, whatever the heck that number comes out to. No, it's 30%. So, and then you're going to need aspect of the stampede, gain one additional companion. It's just to help buff your companion damage and to help put poison, because when you have one additional companion, you're going to get like 2 creepers that are going to come out. You're going to get 3 wolves that are going to be able to spread rabies. Now, ravens does not do poison, but because it's a companion build, I threw this in here because they increase your critical strike chance, and I'll show you why that's a little why that's important in a little bit. Next and lastly, aspect of the changeling's debt, damaging a poisoned enemy, consumes the poison and immediately pops it for 120 to 150% of the poisoning damage. So the idea of this is you put your poison on things and you start casting pulverize, and it starts popping all the poisons you have on them for increased damage, causing tons and tons of damage. Now those are the 3 legendaries you need for this build to work. Now you can customize this any way you want, and you can remember that you can convert this from a poison companion build into just a regular companion build. You know, you could run something like Shepherd's here, where it increases your core skill damage by 8% for every single companion you have out. Like, there's other companion things that you can run that would make this functional in a different way. So don't feel like you need to have all these legendaries. You could actually play this build, especially since all the companion skills got buffed, without aspect of the alpha and without aspect of the stampede. As long as you get aspect of changeling's debt and you put poison creeper, well, actually, sorry, you do need aspect of the alpha because that's what gives them rabies, but that being said, you can still just use poison creeper and this, and it'll still be pretty solid early. And the cool thing is you can unlock this in Kegistan, so this is going to be something that you can unlock pretty early if you like it, to at least get a base thing going, because they did buff the companion skills, so the companion skills do way more damage than what they did in the open beta. Alright, so going into the helm slot, I chose to go Andariel's Visage just to put another poison, another thing to explode. That's all this does. Just puts a poison cloud out, puts a nice poison on things. It's just another thing for me to explode with pulverize. Now, there's another option here. You can go Tempest Roar. What Tempest Roar does is it makes your storm skills also werewolf abilities. So if I was to go this route, the cool thing about this is I'm also going to run aspect of nature savagery. Werewolf skills function as storm skills and werebear skills function as earth skills. So now, because this is now also a werewolf skill, it will now start to proc my werebear skills for the purpose of the Nature's Fury key passive. As well, it's also going to be proccing things like Earth Spike and other things like that. So you'll be spamming Storm Strike, and you're going to be having pretty much all the other base abilities just casting because of this combo, right? Or theoretically, you should, unless there's some weird thing in the coding, right? So you spam Storm Strike, that should make your Maul cast. It should make your Maul cast, and it should also make your Earth Spike cast. So you should be able to cast both of these abilities if you run that tech, which is pretty cool, because especially if you go ahead and put points into this, you could get a decent amount of fortify off of running that combo as well if you need defenses. So keep that in mind. It's a pretty cool little Tekken combo there. And the main reason why I did it was just so my pulverize would cast extra abilities, because I didn't have anything that I really saw that really jumped out at me. That's why I said this is really customizable, because you don't necessarily need to go this route. This is just the route I thought was fun. So that being said, Insatiable Fury, the reason why we're running this unique is because it makes your werebear form your true form, and because we don't have an insane amount of ways to get into werebear form, in the Paragon tree later on, you're going to see that I have things that say like plus 5% damage on werebear. So we're going to need to make sure we're in werebear form to be proccing all those bonuses. Storm's Companion. Now, I'm running this just for flavor. It has a lot of move speed on it. It gives you ranks to wolves, which is pretty good. And your wolf companions are infused with the power of the storm, dealing lightning damage. So now here's the caveat to this. I do not know if it converts all of their damage to lightning damage, or if it makes them deal bonus lightning damage on top of the physical damage. And I also don't know what Storm Howl does. But what I do know is it creates Storm Werewolf Companions, because if this turns them into werewolves, and this turns them into storm stuff, like, I mean, you're going to be infusing your werewolves with the power of the storm. At least thematically, that sounds cool as hell, so I'm going to run these pants. Next up, we got Windstriker Boots. Critical strikes grant 8 to 16% move speed. This is just a movement speed buff, so you can move faster. After that, we run Aspect of Ursine Horror. The reason why I actually run this is because it turns Pulverize into an Earth skill. I don't really care about the second effect, but there's a Paragon tree thing that says crowd-controlled enemies take 30% increased damage from your Earth skills. So, you know, whenever I use Vine Creeper on something and then pop it with Pulverize, I'm going to get a bunch of extra damage by being able to run that, being able to run that passive. Alright, so for skills, I'm going Storm Strike, Wolves, Poison Creeper, Ravens, Pulverize, and Cataclysm. The reason why I go Cataclysm is because I personally just think it's the best, and you're going to see that I do have a few different. I also have this kind of augmented to be almost a pseudo storm build as well. So there's like 3 different flavors at play of Werebear, Poison Companions, and Storm. So first I go Deer, Wariness, take 10% reduced damage from elites. I go for the 5% increased crit chance. Then I go for Extend Ultimate Duration since I am running Cataclysm, and then Nature Magic skills have up to a 15% chance to reduce the cooldowns of your ultimate skills by 2 seconds. And then lastly, the really cool one, Critical Strikes have up to a 20% chance to reset the cooldowns of your companion skills, which is now why you see why I'm kind of leaning towards running the Ravens. You get 5% crit here. Whenever you immobilize something here, or they're poisoned by the Poison Creeper, you get 20% increased crit against them. So you're going to be critting quite a bit. Let's see, so 20, 25, 30, you have 30% crit just in your skills here, without even going into, the passive tree too much. So that's going to help you. That's going to help you reset this. And keep in mind that this Wolves ability, the active, is going to do a bonkers amount of damage. You will be one-shotting elites with it whenever you press this button. So keep that in mind. So going into the actual skills trees, Storm Strike, Enhanced Storm Strike, Fierce Storm Strike. This just gives you damage reduction when you use it. It gives you immobilization, and it also gives you vulnerable, so it gives you ways to proc all your various passives. As you can see here, I went Pulverize. I didn't really care for anything in here. I was more concerned about, since I'm using Aspect of Nature's Savagery to enhance the Shred, so when I start casting Pulverize and my Shreds go off, then I'll start getting even more poisoning damage. Coming on down to here, we got Wolves, 20% increased damage to immobilize, stunned, slowed, or poisoned, which we're going to be able to do pretty easily. When I crit, they get 20% attack speed. Poison Creeper, immobilize duration increased, and then the increased crit chance. Ravens, 5% increased crit chance, and then 2 additional Ravens just for some more damage. Go ahead and grab the 30% more companion skill damage. This is where you're going to see a little bit of an augmented with Storm. Storm skills have up to 10% chance to make things vulnerable, so another way to make things vulnerable. We get 15% increased Hurricane and Cataclysm duration, which we're not using Hurricane, but we are using Cataclysm, so that's going to give us a couple extra seconds on that. Up to a 10% chance when dealing damage to strike them with a lightning bolt that does more damage, and then another, just really this more of the same. It's just lightning damage dealt to them is increased by 15%. Now the reason why this is actually pretty good too for the companion build to take this is because it is actually a damage buff for your wolves, because if your wolves start to do lightning damage, this is actually buffing their damage by another 15%, so that's pretty solid. Going down to Cataclysm, I didn't take this. We have plenty of ways to make things vulnerable. We don't really need to use a point on that. Cataclysm's duration increased by 2 seconds, so we're going to have 12 seconds, 12 to 15 seconds of Cataclysm duration. Then we got when a shape-shifting skill transforms you into a different form, it deals 5% increased damage. And I didn't really take that because I really care about the damage increase, but I did want this fortify just so we can have a way to get fortify and do stuff like that, just for more defenses. Then Nature's Fury, casting an Earth skill. This is what procs the Nature Savagery thing is now. Because I have this keystone, that's what's unlocked, and that legendary, that's what's unlocking my Werebear skills to start casting my Shred skills, etc., etc. A couple things to note. There is more customization. If you want to go more into the poison route, you can take points out of here if you're not really into the whole storm thing, and you could put points into rabies, because I do believe that increased the damage that your werewolves do with their rabies, and it helps it spread faster. So that's pretty cool. Alright, so now let's go ahead and let's hop on into the Paragon. So starting here at the first Paragon starting node, we're just going through to get damage, and the first glyph we're going to take is Wilds. The passive portion of your companion skills deals 80% increased damage, so you're pretty much doubling the passive portion of your skills. So that's pretty like freaking sweet. Your wolves are going to do more damage. This is going to be one of the first things that you get, and then for every intelligence within range, companion skills deal 5% increased damage. So I have, I don't know, I think I have like 25 to 30 intelligence. You just go through and you get all the intelligence nodes here, and that's going to give you like another 25% increased companion skill damage, which is pretty huge. For the first board that we're going into, we're going to go into Heightened Malice. You deal 45% increased damage when there's 3 or more poisoned enemies nearby. This is just good because we're poisoning. It has tons of things in it like poison damage, poisoned enemies, you know, more damage to poisoned enemies. So you're going to just be doing an absolute ton of damage to things. And then for the glyph, we're going to go poisoning damage effects, last 33% longer. And for every 5 dex, you deal 2% increased damage to poison targets, which is going to come out to be like a 10% damage increase. So moving on to the next board, it is going to be the legendary node. Nature magic skills have a 15% chance to entangle the enemy with immobilizing them for 2 seconds and poisoning them. Yet again, another poison. We use Storm Strike. We're going to be hitting with nature magic skills a lot, so we're going to have a lot of chances to proc this, and this has a lot of cool things like damage to crowd-controlled enemies. So whenever I use my Pulverize and we do that poison damage, it's going to do even more damage because they're crowd-controlled. Nature magic skill damage, elite damage. Now the nature magic skill damage isn't necessarily super important, but I went ahead and grabbed it because I said, you know, why not buff my Storm Strike and my Cataclysm a little bit. So next off, we are going to be going into the Werebear one. So while in Werebear form, which you're in all the time, you deal 1% increased damage, up to 50% for every 1% difference in current life percent between you and the enemy. So this is actually going to mainly be good on bosses, because as the boss health goes down, since you're not necessarily going to be one-shotting all the bosses necessarily, especially when you get into higher levels of play and nightmare dungeons, I'm assuming that it's, you know, it's not just going to be, oh, wham, bam, kill him in 2 seconds. Once you start to push, this will be really good, I think, especially for pushing higher and higher sigils, because as their life goes down, your damage is going to go up by quite a bit. So after that, Fang and Claw, while in werewolf form or werebear form, close enemies take 12% increased damage from you. So just 12% damage increase from Pulverize and everything else. That'll also affect your poisons and such. Moving right along, 25% damage to healthy enemies. Now the reason why this is actually particularly good in this build is keep in mind that once you poison them, alright, especially if you're pushing like a higher sigil, theoretically I think what will end up happening is if you stack damage to healthy enemies, when you do the Pulverize and it consumes all the poison damage, it might just one-shot them, right? Like once you get to higher things where it's like it's not going to look like you're doing a whole lot of damage. And then if you stack these bonuses and activate your Pulverize and get all those other damage bonuses, all of a sudden it's like everything just pops. Just boom. So next we shall be going into the Earth skills. Deal 30% increased damage to enemies afflicted by crowd control. So this is just going to make Pulverize deal more damage. And I'm not sure if this is going to affect the poison, but we will see. I'm hoping it does. We got 5% earth skill damage. And the reason why we're getting this stuff is mainly because we don't really have enough points to go anywhere else in these trees. So it's not particularly, it's not going to be, particularly good to try to get into another tree because we don't have enough points to actually make it into any meaningful node, no matter how we swap the boards around. So instead of this one though, if you didn't want to go that tech, you could go for something like this one. After spending 75 spirit, you deal 30% increased damage, and the main reason for that is because that node, which I guess I didn't add it on because I'm out of points, but that node has like basic skill and core damage in it. So it's really good if you're actually more focused on using your core skills as opposed to, like me, I'm more focused on popping the poison damage on them. But yeah, so that's the build. I hope you guys like it. So I hope you guys like the build. I've been kind of theory crafting and messing around a lot lately. This is going to be pretty fun. It's going to be something I'm going to be on the lookout for, because ultimately when the game comes out, the legendaries are going to be what guide me. So having a bunch of theory crafted builds will help me have an idea of what I want to do as the legendaries fall. So thanks for watching. Like, subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you guys next time.